Welcome to another edition of Defo on 5. Jeff DeForest along with one Mike Lubitz on a Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday. And I have to say, Lubie, I've been doing sports talk in South Florida for over 40 years. I want to say 42 years. And it's always been one of the lamest arguments that you could ever present to a sports talk host. And usually gets the guy all enraged and leads to all kinds of screaming and hysterics. And while it may be theatrical, it's sort of impractical to think that you're ever going to hash this argument out with the fans who believe and take the opposite position, which is I don't want to make the playoffs because, you know what, we're just going to get knocked out in the first round anyway, so I'd rather not even have to go through this. You've been a victim of this same theory and a proponent of it, actually, at different times. But I've always said the same thing. You go out to win as many games as you can. If you have a team that's capable of winning only one game during the course of a football season, win that one game. Go ahead and do it. Now, I guess, there are exceptions. If you know you're hopelessly out of the postseason and it boils down to one last game in a regular season, and they're thinking, okay, I have a shot at this Wemby guy, a much better shot if we lose this ball game. While nobody could possibly condone tanking, if ever there was a case, if ever there was reason to go out and deliberately lose, I don't recommend doing what the Dallas Mavericks did because look what happened. The Miami Heat, on the balls of their ass, they lose to the Atlanta Hawks, who subsequently go out there and get cremated by the Boston Celtics in their first round game. As your man Trae Young goes 5 for 18 from the field. Way to go! That's under 33%. Nice shooting there, Trae. No wonder they want to trade this cat. The
Yes,
pressure's on. All of a sudden, he does a disappearing act. And wow, I mean, I'm sure several of those. I didn't see that game, but I would imagine many of those were from the Coke machine. Because that's the way it rolls with Trae Young when he's not going well. All of a sudden, he starts chucking it from 35 feet. Meanwhile, while that's going on, the next day, here are the Miami Heat against the Milwaukee Bucks. And what we were saying last week actually came to fruition, right? There's always a chance. You played the Bucks all right. I think they were 2-2 during the regular season. They won the two games at home, lost the two in Milwaukee. One of those games was played without Antetokounmpo essentially in the lineup. I think he might have sat the entire game. And there's always a chance, right, that he rolls an ankle going up for a rebound, and the next thing you know, you're in the series. And what happens? The Heat come out on fire. They shot 60% from three-point range, totally uncharacteristic of anything they had done all season long, where the narrative was, the rhetoric was, the line on the Heat was, man, they're putrid somehow from three-point range. They were shooting at the very bottom of the league or at or near it in terms of percentage throughout the entire season, which was a real aberration. I don't know if it was an aberration. Unfortunately, it was a constant because the year before they had been great from three-point range. They were much like they were in this game against Milwaukee yesterday. And anyway, they go 15 for 25 from three-point range. They get the three-pointers from a variety of sources. Gabe Vincent is hot from three. Kevin Love is hot from three. Early on, you had Tyler Hero canning threes. Just about everybody was getting in on the act. And then Jimmy Butler was doing his thing to the tune of 35 points. And guess who goes down in the first quarter of the game, or somewhere about 11 minutes into his playing time in the game? Giannis Antetokounmpo, the one unstoppable force that you have on the Milwaukee Bucks if you're the Miami Heat, the one guy that you figure is going to be next to impossible to contend with, that you can only hope to contain him. With Lubie's defense, right? They could have played the reverse triangle in two, which was recommended by Ron Rothstein to us on this show. He actually that was the funniest thing I think ever among the many ridiculous things we proposed to people. Just trying to be a little bit facetious, right? Variation on the theme. Jimmy Valvano and all of his trick defenses, and he had the triangle and two, where had the three guys in a zone and two guys manning up on somebody. We had Lubie's theory, the reverse triangle and two on Giannis Antetokounmpo, where you have three guys on Antetokounmpo. And then the other two guys just run along the baseline and try to track down the three-point shooters out of the corner. And that's it. And we ran that by Ron Rossi, and he said, you know what? There's some merit to that, which was still one of the surprising things that I've ever heard on any show that we've ever conducted. But they didn't need it yesterday, and then contained, the rest of the Milwaukee Bucks and kept them at bay the entire time. Ended up winning the game by 13 points. Guess what? 1-0 Heat. I don't want to be in the playoffs. We're just going to get blown out. 1-0 Heat. and Antetokounmpo now day to day. Now you do lose Tyler Hero in the process to a broken hand as he's diving for a loose
What a
ball, and
stupidest play.
he was off to a decent start. Reggie Miller makes one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard by any color analyst in any sport
So did he actually say
yesterday.
that? Because I heard that, I saw that quote, and I watched the game, but maybe I talk a lot during the game to myself, so maybe I didn't hear him say it.
I heard him say
I
it.
saw it on Twitter all over the place, and I'm like, people want to make the Bucks better than they are. Like I didn't think the Heat would beat the Bucks in the series. I didn't think the Bucks were going to sweep them. And then to make that comment, it's like, wow, you really think they're like the '80s Lakers? Like they're treating the Bucks like they're the Warriors when they had the Durant. I'm like, that's a weird comment to make, and that's not. I'll let you say it, but I'm like, I don't even understand. He can't have said that out loud. Like that's something. One of the
He said it very definitively. It wasn't even out loud. It was the whole pace of the broadcast kind of slowed down, and you could almost hear this in isolation. As Reggie Miller says, well, I have to say, the Heat are going to suffer far more by the loss of Tyler Hero than the Bucks are if they lose Antetokounmpo for the series. I guess that's a misquote there. He was saying that it would be harder for the Heat to replace Hero in their lineup than it would be for the Bucks to replace Antetokounmpo.
That's what he said. No, that's what it was repeated lots of times that he said. I saw that over and over again on Twitter.
That's ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
I mean, Tyler Hero's a good player, but is he irreplaceable? No. And you have any number of guys that can do similar things to what Tyler Hero does, although he does them very well. But Antetokounmpo is arguably a 3-time MVP in succession. Well, I guess Jokic has won it, but he could easily be the 3-time in a row MVP. Antetokounmpo,
100%.
I mean, this guy is Larry fucking Bird, and you're going to tell me that you're better off having Antetokounmpo down than you would be. It would be harder to replace Tyler Hero for the Miami Heat. A ridiculous statement. One of the dumbest things I've ever heard a Colorado say in my lifetime. That the guy that's in the mix there with Embiid and Jokic as possible MVP is a guy that you can easily replace. So, well, they do have another Antetokounmpo. They still have his brother on the roster, don't they?
Yeah, it's not the
So
same.
they could replace him with another Antetokounmpo.
I hope he wasn't meaning that.
What are you talking about, Reggie Miller? You're out of your mind. You're out of your skull.
Stupid. Look, I get Hero has had some big playoff moments. Usually he's the Heat's third best player, but we've seen him go off and be their second best player. But we've also seen him be their fifth best player at times. Giannis, all the time, is the Bucks' number one player, and it's by a lot. East, they've added depth, they've added other players. But as you've seen with the Bucks, they ebb and flow by Giannis. That's who they are. With Giannis, they're the one seed overwhelmingly in the NBA. Without Giannis, they're a playing team, maybe. The Heat with Hero was this. Without Hero, they're not that much worse. Like, yes, Hero is better than half their roster. But the guys that they have, if they wake the hell up, like you saw yesterday.
Well, you saw these guys shoot 15 for 25 from three-point range, mostly without Tyler Hero in the lineup.
And Hero does a lot of stupid ass shit, as you saw with the goddamn dive, that these other guys don't do. Literally in real time, I'm like, what is he doing? I'm like,
I can't blame a guy for diving for a loose ball.
Come on, Lubie. The ball. Like the guy already had the ball. Like, where's he?
Maybe he stumbled on his way down. He was thinking about diving. He couldn't hold himself up. No, you can't fault a guy for hustling. A guy gets hurt hustling. You can't possibly complain about it. But to compare the impact of Giannis Antetokounmpo on a team, just do the park test, Lubie. How simple is this? This is our litmus test in all situations for player comparisons. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Tyler Hero drive up together to the park. You're, looking out there. You got 4-on-4 going. You want to run full. So you're going to need the two guys. You have the first pick. Are you taking Hero or Antetokounmpo? Never are you taking Tyler Hero over Antetokounmpo.
I'm not even.
The guy rebounds. The guy runs up and down the floor. The guy gets people in foul trouble. The guy's impossible to guard one-on-one. The guy could easily have contested a lot of those shots that even though Brook Lopez is a good defensive player, I guess they decided to let Bam Adebayo shoot from 10 feet away or further, and he started to can some shots. So you were happy about that. He woke up in the second half, started asserting himself a little bit, and they were conceding him the 10 to 15-foot jumper, and he took a series of them and made them at a key point in the game when Milwaukee was still sort of hovering in there between like 10 and 8 points down. Yep. Anyway, anybody who says you don't want to make the playoffs ever again on this show is banned permanently. Banned forever. Silent treatment. We don't want to deal with them anymore. Lose my number if that's something that you think, because here we are with an 8 seed against what was supposed to be, as Lubie was alluding to, a team that a lot of people think is some kind of juggernaut, which they may or may not be, but they were the best in the league this year, the most
Yes.
consistent in the league this year, and they won an Eastern Conference, which was supposedly hotly contested, with Boston having a great season and Philadelphia playing a very steady brand of basketball all year long. The Cleveland Cavaliers may have been a bit of a surprise, but they got Donovan Mitchell, who was the prize free agent that a lot of teams are saying right now. They're scratching their heads going, man, if we had gotten Mitchell,
Yep.
we'd have been okay. Meanwhile, the Cavs lose to the Knicks. It was an interesting first round, a little mixed bag of stuff, right? Lakers going a 15-0, 15-0 run at the end of the ball game. They're trailing by one, and they run away and hide, beating the Memphis Grizzlies by what? I guess they won it by 13.
Well, Morant got hurt too. Morant went up for
Morant, it looked like he really, I mean, if anybody was going to break their wrist or their hand, it was Morant on that fall that he tried to break from way up in the air. He got low bridged accidentally. It was incidental stuff, but nonetheless, you see, I mean, they used to say it about Dwayne Wade, right? That if he was going to play with this kind of reckless abandon, he
really.
wasn't going to be around for long or be at the same level.
Yep.
Morant plays with a reckless abandon. I don't remember Dwayne Wade hitting the floor as many times as he did. Nobody hits the floor more than Jean Morant, and he's constantly going up for these high flying, high wire circus dunks. And in this case, somebody's body got underneath him, and he got slammed to the floor, almost face first, and trying to break his fall, and that looked pretty serious. I don't know about Jean Morant coming back. So, as I've been telling you, Luby, don't sleep on the Lakers.
There you go.
They're up 1-0. The Clippers knocked off the Phoenix Suns. That was a hotly contested ball game, and maybe an omen that the Suns are not invincible with Kevin Durant. Durant had a good ball game. So did Devin Booker. Booker was brilliant at the defensive end, by the way, in this game. Stan Van Gundy was practically orgasming, talking about Devin Booker's defense in the game. Nonetheless, the Clippers prevail. The Knicks got that win over the Cavaliers, and the Lakers also winning. So you had four dogs winning on the road and four favorites prevailing. Philadelphia, Boston, blowouts. The LA Kings, a hotly contested game against the Golden State Warriors. That looks like a pretty good series shaping up. And Denver annihilated the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, all that being said, do you want to be in the hunt or not? Did you want to make the playoffs with your Florida Panthers? They swing into action tonight against another team. I mean, this team legitimately was a juggernaut during the year.
Yes.
The Boston Bruins set a new record for points for wins in an NHL season, and yet the Panthers managed to beat them two times. I think they might have been the only team that beat them twice during the course of the regular season. I'm not sure that that's a true statistic.
Some other team, Vancouver, I think one of them beat them twice too. That was it.
They're one of only, at best, two or three teams that managed to get two wins over the Boston Bruins. That being said, can they give them a series? Now you want to be there. You have Alex Lyon all of a sudden emerging, a journeyman goaltender who had played like a handful of games in his NHL career. All of a sudden, this guy is the second coming of Jacques Plante. And with that, you do have the added toughness. Matt Tkachuk delivered everything that you were looking for in terms of possibly transforming this team into a better playoff team. Do they stand, in your opinion, Mike Lubie Lubitz, any chance against the Boston Bruins as the Bruins try to go ahead and validate what was just an incredible. They're going to try and consolidate what was a brilliant regular season. What do you think, Panthers?
Look, I wouldn't pick them to win either, but I would have picked them to rough them up more. Like I thought the Heat were going to win a game, maybe two against the Bucks. Be more physical than the Bucks want to see in a first round series, but the Bucks would win the series and they decisively win the series. The Panthers versus the Bruins is a different story. The Panthers played the Bruins really well in the regular season. The Heat played the Bucks really well, but again, it's the NBA. Like we see that in the NBA. Like NHL, no one did that versus the Bruins, and the Panthers did it in a way that was actually pretty surprising. I could see them winning two, maybe three games, and pushing the series in a place that, if you're the Bruins after that season, you don't want to see. After that Bucks game with the Heat, I'm even more invigorated. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I'm really looking forward to tonight. I'm not gonna lie. Like I haven't looked forward to a Panthers game this way in a long. Like last year, I looked forward to, but Mayo had freaked me out, and the Mayo was right that they came out looking like garbage.
Yeah.
This year, because there's nothing to lose, or the AC, they had such a horrible year.
Playing on house money, as they say.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, let's see. And they're playing free right now. They're playing in a way we wanted them to play the first 70 games or 65 games.
Although they did lose 2 key games at the end of
At
the
the end.
season to put themselves in this position, a
But I
very
guess,
tenuous position in the first round against a team that was a monster.
yeah,
And a lot of people think, well, I don't know, I mean, people would make another stupid argument. Hey, who's the pressure on? It's on the Bruins.
no.
But I would imagine that pressure. I mean, the pressure's on the Bruins. It's the old Mike Tyson thing. Everybody's got a game plan until the first time you get hit in the face. And then we'll see what happens tonight. But that should be very interesting. It's a big day in Boston. You have the Boston Marathon, one of my favorite events. Of course, I believe this is the 10-year anniversary of the tragedy with the bombing at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. Remember covering that, right? And we had like sketchy details about the Tsarnievs. And there was this manhunt on for them, and that was on TV all the next day as they finally found the brother, who I guess is still in federal custody, awaiting what? Didn't he get the death penalty in this case? I believe he did in federal court, and so he's still there, awaiting whatever his fate is going to be. And 10 years later, the Boston Marathon going to be run, I would imagine, with a lot of sentiment, as it has been over the last 10 years, but maybe especially so as you have this kind of distinctive day in the history of the event. And so it's Patriots Day there. You have the Red Sox playing ball game at 11 o'clock, the Boston Marathon going. Holy Rosie Ruiz, where did she come from? And then the Panthers and the Bruins in the first playoff game of this season, the 22-23 season, which has been nothing but a celebration dance for the Boston Bruins pretty much since opening night. So we'll see how we fare there. Golf came down to the wire. This was, I guess, RBC Heritage, Hilton Head, South Carolina, and Jordan Spieth, is in a playoff. They ended up going 3 holes with Matt Fitzpatrick. I don't know that you could have had a soapier story. I thought Jim Nance was going to break down in tears on the air as he was talking about how this Fitzpatrick guy grew up, and this was his favorite course. His family used to go there all the time. Went out there and played it as like a 6-year-old, and then he goes out and gets, I think this was his second PGA Tour triumph, and he prevails. Put a hell of a shot in there on the third playoff hole. Spieth missed a couple of putts. They just sneaked by the hole from about 12 feet away on the first 2 playoff holes. And then this Fitzpatrick hits a 9-iron from about. How do you hit a 9-iron from like a $190, Lubie? When you're a $190 away, aren't you taking some kind of wood out of the bag?
I was gonna say it's
Yeah.
not a 9.
9-iron, yeah, just flicks a 9-iron. It lands 1 foot from the cup, and he taps it in for the win there. The Monte Carlo thing was brilliant. I mean, the final probably was somewhat anticlimactic to the action that took place the rest of the tournament. Andrei Rublev, the Russian, beats Holgar Rune, is how you pronounce his last name. 19-year-old kid, but wow, the future of tennis is certainly bright. You have Rune, who made the final here at an ATP 1000 event on the red clay. 19 years old. Sinner, who got knocked out by Rune in the semifinals, is 21 years old, the Italian kid, skinny string bean of an Italian kid who's putting on some muscle. And, man, does he compete. And, of course, Carlos Alcaraz, the second coming of Nadal from Spain, is also 19. So think about that, Lubie. While we're probably losing, we've lost Federer already to retirement. Nadal has got to be getting close. I guess he'll give it another try at the French. And Djokovic going to be around for a while, still playing at a high level, although he got bumped out in this tournament. And they were the big three, but these other big three, I mean, they're starting very young to formulate a trio of players that could dominate tennis for some time. So that was a great tournament. And the Marlins are 8-8, right? Wasn't that our marketing slogan for the Dolphins? Your Miami Dolphins, 8-8. So what's wrong with that?
What's wrong with 8-8?
People are giddy that the Marlins are off to an 8-8 start. Sandy Alcantara touched up again.
That's my only issue. Is I'm not going to slam him. He's been really good for a long time, but that's 2 starts in a row where he was just bad. I mean, flat out, really bad.
I tuned in, and I guess it was the 5th inning when he was getting shelled, and he gave up the home run to center field to cap off a 5-run inning. I mean, before that, he was pitching fine, and then all of a sudden he just got annihilated in that 1 inning, and it was predicated on some funky stuff that happened early in the inning where he might have been able to wriggle out of it, but unfortunately he was serving up another, I mean, holy cafe Monterano, a meatball on a silver platter, the size of which you were very happy to pay the $25 for if you happen to be at the plate. and that thing was deposited in the center field. There are no seats out there, but right in the grass. And that was it, 5-0. And Marlins didn't raise a gallop, but they end up 8-8. They had won 4 in a row prior to that, and they sit there in third place in the National League East. Philadelphia 6-10. You had to expect that they were going to be compromised with Harper out of the lineup and Reese Hoskins out for the season. A couple of devastating losses before things got going. And the Washington Nationals have been in a tailspin for some time now. Sit at the bottom at 5-11. So is that good enough for you to get you excited about going to some ball games there? Are you going to go to the next park in the park, go adopt a dog, and sit out there in the stands there and watch the Marlins play? Because they look a little better there for that 4-game winning streak, and then you're thinking, wow, got their ace on the mound. They're going to make it to 5. And unfortunately, Alcantara wasn't able to turn it around. So hopefully he's going to be okay. All right, we're going to see you guys on the Defo show. That runs from 7 to 9 live on South Florida Live. And if you're a subscriber to 5 Reasons Sports Network, please go ahead, do the same there. We could use Scoop's, 12,000, whatever it is, 20,000 following.
22,000, I think.
22,000, yeah. Boy, we picked that up, and we're in business there, Mike Lubie Lubitz. That'd be great. So everybody out there on 5 Reasons, go ahead, subscribe to South Florida Live, and we'll make it, a tandem of shows that you can catch every morning, including our 7 to 9 special here coming up, where we'll get into a lot of different things. Sean Devaney going to talk basketball with us. Brett Tester, the agent of the stars, on what's going on in the National Football League with the draft around the corner. Zero buzz, Lubie, here in town about the draft. Nobody cares, one way or another. Maybe Greer, pulls off some miracle deal and ends up with the number 1 overall pick. We trade Tua. That's my scenario. Trade Tua and get C.J. Stroud. That would work. No, we want Richardson out of Florida. Yeah, we want a guy that you have to experiment with. That's going to be a bit of a project.
There you go.
Why not? Let's just draft Ryan Leaf. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow on Defo on 5 here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. And catch you later on South Florida Live with the Defo Show.